but there's no phone lines between your brain and the muscles, so you can't get the message to work. And I didn't know that, so I just kept struggling with it, and finally I stopped singing because I thought it really wasn't fair to charge.
Linda Ronstadt is one of the most celebrated voices in music history, a trailblazer whose career spans rock, country, pop, and even opera. From her soaring ballads to her dynamic performances, she has won multiple Grammy Awards and captivated millions of fans worldwide. But behind the glamour, accolades, and harmonious melodies, Ronstadt wasn't always singing sweetly about her fellow musicians. Over the decades, she worked with countless artists, producers, and collaborators, and while many became close friends or respected peers, there were a few who rubbed her the wrong way, intensely. Unlike some artists who keep grudges quiet, Ronstadt was known for her candid honesty. She didn't shy away from expressing disdain for musicians whose work ethic, ego, or personal behavior clashed with her own. From pretentious rock stars to difficult collaborators, the musicians Ronstadt disliked reveal not only the high standards she held, but also the fiery personality beneath her soft, melodious voice. Some had professional disagreements with her in the studio, while others' personal behavior simply offended her. Whatever the reason, these artists made it onto Ronstadt's list of those she couldn't tolerate, and some of these names might shock fans who assumed that, as a music icon, she got along with everyone. Today, we reveal the top 7 musicians Linda Ronstadt hated the most, the rivals, the egos, and the behind-the-scenes drama that shaped her perspective on fame, collaboration, and the music industry. These are the artists who, for one reason or another, pushed Linda Ronstadt's patience to its limits, and Linda Ronstadt's career has always been defined by her impeccable vocal talent and her commitment to musical integrity. That's why musician number 7 earned her disdain so quickly. Unlike many collaborators who valued harmony and mutual respect, this producer brought an air of pretension and self-importance that clashed violently with Ronstadt's values. The two first worked together in the late 1970s during the recording of what was supposed to be a groundbreaking album. The producer had a reputation for working with big names and creating hits, but Ronstadt quickly realized that his ego often got in the way of the music itself. He would insist on elaborate production techniques, constantly interrupting vocal takes to suggest changes that felt unnecessary or even counterproductive. Where Ronstadt aimed for emotional authenticity, the producer aimed for commercial perfection. It wasn't just his studio habits that grated on her. Colleagues report that he often belittled other musicians and singers, speaking in condescending tones that left the studio tense. Ronstadt, who valued professionalism and respect above all else, found his behavior intolerable. She reportedly refused to let him manipulate her voice or control the creative process, even if it meant arguing with him during sessions. Tensions reached a boiling point during a particularly grueling session. The producer demanded that Ronstadt re-record a song dozens of times to achieve a sound he envisioned, ignoring her suggestion that the take was already perfect. According to insiders, Ronstadt finally snapped, telling him, "I'm not here to serve your ego. I'm here to make music that matters." The studio went silent. The producer was shocked by her assertiveness, and the engineers quietly admired her courage. This confrontation marked the beginning of a professional rift. Ronstadt continued to record, but she made it clear that she would no longer tolerate manipulation, arrogance, or disrespect in the studio. Over the years, she would speak about this producer in interviews with a pointed tone, describing him as talented but insufferably egotistical. What made this feud notable is that it highlighted Ronstadt's exacting standards. She was willing to challenge anyone, even a well-known producer with industry clout, if she felt that her artistry or integrity was compromised. Her disdain for musician number 7 was not born from jealousy or personal animosity, but from a deep-seated belief that music should be about collaboration, respect, and authenticity. Fans rarely saw the behind-the-scenes clashes, but the impact of musician number 7 on Ronstadt's career was significant. It reinforced her reputation as a no-nonsense professional who demanded the best from herself and those around her. Anyone who crossed her boundaries risked her open criticism, and in this case, permanent disdain. By placing this producer at number 7 on the list, we begin to see the pattern of Ronstadt's intolerance for arrogance, manipulation, and lack of respect in the music world. She valued talent, yes, but it had to be paired with humility, professionalism, and a genuine commitment to the art form. Those who failed to meet these standards earned her enduring disapproval, a warning that creative brilliance alone could never excuse a lack of respect. This episode set the stage for the higher-ranked musicians on this list, whose actions tested Ronstadt's patience even further, blending personal frustration with professional disappointment. The story of musician number 7 reminds us that Linda Ronstadt's fire was never far from the surface, and that she had little tolerance for egos that oversaid her unfiltered criticism over the years. Moving up the list, musician number 6 was a celebrated singer with an established career, but one whose diva tendencies quickly clashed with Linda Ronstadt's professional standards. Unlike the producer at number 7, this was a fellow artist, someone whose ego and sense of entitlement made studio collaboration nearly impossible. The two first encountered each other during a collaborative recording project in the early 1980s. What should have been a harmonious partnership soon turned into a battle of wills. Musician number 6 demanded preferential treatment, special seating, extended breaks, and even control over certain technical aspects of the recording that were usually left to the engineers. Ronstadt, who valued efficiency, fairness, and respect, found this behavior both frustrating and disrespectful. It wasn't just the demands that annoyed her. It was the attitude. Musician number 6 often spoke down to other performers, dismissed suggestions, and seemed more interested in showcasing herself than creating a balanced professional recording. Ronstadt, known for her precision and dedication, was determined not to let ego interfere with her work. She reportedly confronted the diva privately, emphasizing the importance of collaboration and mutual respect. However, musician number 6 refused to change her behavior, escalating tensions. According to insiders, one session in particular epitomized the conflict. The diva attempted to rewrite harmonies in a way that clashed with Ronstadt's vision, ignoring input from other collaborators. Ronstadt responded firmly, stating that the song's integrity came before personal showmanship. "This isn't about you," she allegedly said. "It's about the music, and everyone in this room deserves respect." The exchange reportedly left the diva fuming and the studio on edge. The clash was more than professional. It was personal. Ronstadt respected talent but had little patience for arrogance and selfishness, especially when it disrupted the creative process. Musician number 6, despite being incredibly talented, failed to recognize that studio work is a team effort, not a stage for self-aggrandizement. Bronson, in his own way, might have appreciated Ronstadt's stance, a refusal to let egos dominate the workspace. The fallout from this collaboration was long-lasting. Ronstadt reportedly avoided working with musician number 6 in future projects and even subtly discouraged producers from pairing them together again. Over the years, she referenced the experience in interviews, acknowledging the artist's talent while making it clear that their professional styles and personalities were incompatible. Musician number 6 illustrates an important point about Linda Ronstadt's standards. She valued skill, artistry, and creativity, but above all, she demanded professionalism and respect. When confronted with behavior that violated those principles, she didn't hesitate to push back, even against peers who were equally famous or established. This incident set the tone for how Ronstadt would navigate the music industry moving forward. It reinforced her belief that collaboration required humility, discipline, and a shared commitment to excellence. Those who failed to honor these values risked not only her frustration, but also her open disdain. By examining musician number 6, we begin to understand the type of artists who earned Ronstadt's highly talented individuals whose egos threatened the cohesion and integrity of the music-making process. The higher-ranked names on this list would push these boundaries even further, combining personal clashes with professional conflicts that tested Ronstadt's patience and judgment to the limits. Musician number 5 on Linda Ronstadt's list was a prolific songwriter whose talent was undeniable, but whose ego and attitude made collaboration unbearable. Unlike other artists who earned her contempt through diva behavior or pretension, this songwriter's arrogance stemmed from an inflated sense of ownership over every note and lyric. To Ronstadt, it was a direct challenge to her artistic integrity. The two first crossed paths during the production of a major album in the late 1970s. Ronstadt, always meticulous about her vocals and interpretations, had a clear vision for the songs she recorded. Musician number 5, however, insisted that every phrase be performed exactly as he wrote it, disregarding her input as a singer who brought life to the words. Where Ronstadt valued emotional nuance and interpretive freedom, the songwriter demanded rigid adherence to his vision. The tension escalated quickly. Reports from the studio indicate that he would lecture her on vocal technique in a condescending manner, often comparing her to other singers and implying she fell short of his standards. Ronstadt, who prided herself on both her skill and professionalism, refused to be demeaned. According to insiders, she would calmly but firmly push back, insisting that the song be a collaboration, not a one-sided dictation. One particular session became infamous among those present. Musician number 5 grew increasingly frustrated when Ronstadt altered a minor phrasing to better suit her voice, arguing that it conveyed the song's emotion more effectively. What followed was a heated exchange. Ronstadt maintained her stance, stating, "I respect your writing, but this is my voice. I interpret the song." The argument reportedly left other musicians in stunned silence, as Ronstadt's combination of composure and conviction left no room for further debate. It wasn't only professional pride that fueled her frustration. Ronstadt, who had consistently demonstrated generosity and collaboration with her peers, was deeply offended by the songwriter's condescension. She valued mutual respect and believed that true artistry involved listening, compromise, and empathy, qualities musician number 5 seemed to disregard entirely. Even after the project was completed, the rift remained. Ronstadt avoided further collaborations with him and was candid in interviews about the difficulties of working with overly controlling songwriters. She praised the quality of his work but made it clear that his attitude made the experience intolerable. It wasn't a personal vendetta, it was about principles, standards, and preserving her creative autonomy. Musician number 5's position on this list reveals a critical aspect of Ronstadt's character. She would not tolerate interference with her artistry, even from individuals with impeccable reputations. Talent alone was insufficient. Respect for collaborators, professionalism, and humility were equally essential. Those who lacked these qualities were certain to earn her lasting disdain. This episode also illustrates why Ronstadt's career is so remarkable. Despite facing formidable personalities and egos, she remained steadfast in her principles. She chose her collaborators carefully, ensuring that anyone she worked with shared her commitment to artistic integrity. As the countdown progresses, the next musicians push boundaries even further. While musician number 5 challenged her professional authority, the artists ranked higher on the list would test her patience on both personal and creative levels, solidifying her reputation as a discerning, uncompromising, and fearless figure in the music industry. Musician number 4 on Linda Ronstadt's list was a renowned performer whose charisma and fame often overshadowed her work ethic and collaborative spirit. Unlike some of the others she disliked for pretension or overbearing control, this artist's arrogance was rooted in ego and a need for constant attention, qualities that clashed sharply with Ronstadt's disciplined, professional approach to music. The two first crossed paths during a major live performance collaboration. Musician number 4 was already a household name, accustomed to commanding the stage and being the center of attention. From the very first rehearsal, it became clear that the performer's priority was self-promotion rather than teamwork. Ronstadt, who valued preparation, timing, and mutual respect, was immediately frustrated by the lack of professionalism. Reports from insiders describe long rehearsals where musician number 4 would ignore cues, change arrangements at the last minute, or dominate vocal sections meant to be shared. While Ronstadt always respected talent, she had little patience for anyone who put ego above artistry. She approached the situation with a mixture of firmness and diplomacy, attempting to redirect the performer toward collaboration. However, musician number 4 often dismissed her guidance, believing their celebrity status justified their behavior. The tension reached its peak during a live broadcast. Musician number 4 insisted on ad-libbing certain sections, throwing off the planned harmonies and leaving other performers scrambling. Ronstadt reportedly confronted them backstage, asserting that the performance required discipline and that everyone's contributions mattered. The artist, accustomed to unchallenged control, reacted defensively, which only intensified Ronstadt's disapproval. Beyond the technical issues, there was a personal dimension to the clash. Ronstadt respected peers who were confident yet grounded. She admired those who balanced talent with humility. Musician number 4, however, thrived on attention and validation, often undermining others to make themselves shine. To Ronstadt, this behavior was not only unprofessional but morally objectionable, particularly in a collaborative art like music. Even after the event, Ronstadt avoided future collaborations with musician number 4. She spoke candidly in interviews, acknowledging their talent while making it clear that their egocentric approach made the working relationship impossible. Friends and colleagues noted that Ronstadt's disdain was principled rather than personal. It stemmed from a commitment to artistry, fairness, and respect for everyone involved in the creative process. Musician number 4's presence on this list underscores a recurring theme. Ronstadt would not compromise her standards for fame, charm, or even skill. Ego-driven behavior, lack of consideration for others, and a disregard for collaboration were certain to earn her lasting contempt. As we move further up the countdown, the remaining musicians not only challenged her professionally, but also pushed the boundaries of personal tolerance, testing Ronstadt's patience in ways few could imagine. These artists represent the final, most provocative names on her list, those whose behavior left a permanent mark on her perception of the music world.